few words. Holy Father Pope Francis says, if a priest speaks for more than 10 minutes, he's a murderer. I hope someone's keeping track of the time.
10 minutes!
Thank you. Welcome to the Mary Magdalene's Men's Association, Ladies and Clergy Night. I think that's what we are doing here. And for a men's association, there has been very little banging on the table. Remedy that. I ask you to bang on the table in thanks to all those who have worked so hard to prepare this fabulous dinner. Thank you. The deacon objects to clapping in church. Particular thanks, of course, to Margaret and Stuart and to Selina, who've been working all day, actually, here, and to Maddie and Mattia, who've now gone, and luckily we gave them a round of applause before they went, and so many others who have been occupied with making this a fitting tribute to a wonderful new priest. Thank you all very much. To me, it's strange to be celebrating Father James again legally this time. Last time we were here, if you remember, the windows were all closed, the curtains were drawn, and those of you who are legally minded were thinking about, if we get raided, who's going to pay the 10,000? Can we blame the oratory? Is it a parish expense? Members win the lottery? How are we going to pay for it? But thank God it didn't come to that, and we got away with it. Father has been a visitor to this parish for several years now, and a very valued spiritual director and chaplain to our men's association, and we thank him for that. The connections between the two oratories, the humble oratory of Mary Magdalene's and the slightly better known one on the Brompton Road, goes back many years, but the connection between the oratorians and the, if I may use the rather vainglorious term that we call ourselves, Venerabilini, the products of the Venerable English College, go back hundreds of years to the foundation of the Venerable English College of St. Thomas of the City, and the St. Philip Neri, who lived literally across the road in a residence I think is now taken over by Opus Dei. But St. Philip, as Father will know well, because I think in the sanctuary of the oratory it's portrayed, isn't it, meeting the seminarians from the English College. The seminarians, of course, was it the seminarians?
Useful painting, I was saying.
Yes, the painting. They had great veneration, of course, for St. Philip. They realized the saint when they saw him, but he also saw in them saints, martyrs, and many of you will know that he was accustomed to greet them with the phrase taken from the breviary for the feast of the Holy Innocents, Salvete Flores Martyrum, hail flowers of the martyrs. And the college that I attended for some years in Rome had great veneration to those martyrs. The 44 Catholic martyrs. There was one Protestant. Have you heard of the Protestant martyr of the English College? I know it sounds like a joke, but in a way it is, but it's not a very funny one. He was a spy sent by, before James Bond, we were leading the world in spies under Elizabeth, and a spy had been sent to the English College, a Protestant, and he, during a Corpus Christi procession, became incensed and couldn't bear it anymore and attacked the monstrance, the host, and he was imprisoned and taken in charge by the Inquisition. And in those days, the Roman pontiffs rarely put anyone to death. But when they did, they wanted everyone to enjoy it. You know? It was a sort of festival experience. And when he was executed, the cardinals were all told to stay indoors because they could. Some of them were quite religious, the cardinals. If approached by a felon, they could absolve them and they were free. So the cardinal stayed indoors, and he was dressed in gay attire, not the last seminary of English college to be so. Paraded through the streets of Rome, his right hand that had touched the host was cut off. That was giving an example to people who get to give me in the hand. And then after that, he was burnt to death. And everyone enjoyed themselves apart from that man. So 44 Catholic martyrs and 1 Protestant. And I am going to talk about you in a moment, Father. The festival at the English College was the Martyrs' Day, which is kept on the 1st of December. And the ceremonies reminded me that we've had this evening a little bit of our Martyrs' Day. We started with a Mass, which was never particularly memorable, to be quite honest, because in seminaries nowadays everything's very political, even back in the 80s it was as well, followed by a pranzo, prepared for us by, you probably have heard about what it used to be like, particularly in those days, that a wonderful order of Italian nuns would make an extraordinary feast. It's perhaps ungentlemanly to talk about it in detail, but I'm going to. What we used to have, we would start off with a college cocktail, which was a variant of the Negroni. Instead of vermouth, we had Punta Mez, Cinzano, and gin. After that, we would go down to the refectory, and a great mountain of antipasto would be prepared. So there would be salume and prosciutto crudo and carciofi and all sorts of different things. So we'd have that with some white wine. And then the nuns would always give us 3 different sorts of pasta, a bit like this evening. So we always had penne al salmone, we normally had fettuccine with wild mushrooms, etc. And then they regarded it as very middle class to have just one piece of meat or fish. So we would have fish, we would have steak, we'd have chicken, and followed then by always Monte Bianco with spumante, and then coffee, cigars and liqueurs all afternoon. And then at 5 o'clock we would go and sing the Te Deum. And very often when seminarians knelt down, they would fall over because they were unable to stay on their feet. And during my time at the college, the rector introduced a particular law at the Venerable English College, and that was after festal meals, the drinking of liqueurs after pranzo would be limited to 2 hours. 2 hours of liqueur drinking, and then enough's enough, gentlemen. No. So that's what it was like in those days. Now, I remember one year, Archbishop Warlock, those of you who are too young to remember him, he was a leading light of the liberal clergy in this country. And he came and preached a sermon at Martyrs' Day. And he said the first Martyrs' Day he had been to was during the Second Vatican Council. And the preacher, thank you, the preacher at the English College for Martyrs' Day had been Archbishop Lefebvre. Oh. Yeah. And every time he said Archbishop Lefebvre, he lifted his zucchetto in mockery like that when he said the name of Archbishop Lefebvre. So the idea was, weren't we ridiculous in having Archbishop Lefebvre, and now we had Derek Warlock in the good old days. But the first Martyrs' Day I ever attended was celebrated by Cardinal Hume. And I wasn't a member of the college then, I was a guest. And I remember listening to his after-dinner speech. I just thought the irony of that, you're listening to me now. I'm thinking, what a silly old fool. But what he said was, he was talking about the glory of the martyrs of the college. And he looked around like this, and he said, gentlemen, looking around at you, I'm sure that you, like them, would make that ultimate sacrifice. And everybody, whoa, 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 yes. And I thought at the time, what nonsense. We could face being shot, couldn't we? A clean martyrdom. But what our martyrs, the 44, and so many other hundreds in England and Ireland who suffered for the faith, went through, how could we say we could face that? You know, it's ludicrous. And so many of the men around that table left the priesthood, you know, not for martyrdom, but for all sorts of different reasons. To say that we're not ever going to change like that, it's foolish to do that, Father. We need not only courage, we need humility and perseverance in our priesthood these days, particularly those just starting in their vocation as you are. Salvete Flores Martyrum. That's something that can be addressed, I think, very clearly to you and the priests of this age. After all, the Mass of the Martyrs is banned again. That's the reason why we had benediction this evening and not Holy Mass. Young priests now across the world are celebrating Mass in private in fear of the authorities, not the civil authorities, but the ecclesiastical ones. But it's the same fear of exposure, the same fidelity and perseverance and courage that is called for. Dear Father James, I wouldn't presume to lecture you on the subject of St. Philip Neri, but I'm going to. But I'd like to recall one important topical quality that I believe he exemplified. He never called attention to the corrupt hierarchy that existed in his day. Goodness me, he would have had a field day if he'd wanted to do that, but he didn't. No, he didn't. He lived his priesthood faithfully and joyfully, and he used the example of that as a powerful means of conversion and correction, what nowadays the church would call the new evangelization. And it's an example, I believe, that we can all follow, even if we are not enrolled in the august body of the sons of that great saint. It's not, I suppose, rocket science. Frequent confession, daily mental prayer, a Mass said reverently and fervently, true pastoral care, all the things that your oratory has been a beacon for so many of us now, for so many decades. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to charge your glasses now and to stand and toast Father James ad multos annos. Ad multos annos. And before anyone can rudely shout speech, speech!
There's always one.
Tim is going to hand over a little gift, a token of our appreciation for all you've done for our association.
Father James,
and our
yes.
parish.
Wow. You know,
Go
spent a long time choosing this and
Other way around. There you go. Hold on.
This is from all of us and chiefly arranged by, as you can imagine, Stuart, who's been pivotal in sorting this out. But we hope you like it. It's from all of us, your confreres and the MMMA, and in gratitude for your ministry so far, in an expectation of your ministry in the future, and a deal on those penances. So we hope you like it. It's yeah, in between the mysteries of the rosary.
Love experience from my diaconate ordination shows really the love that you show me is really touching. I'm not very emotional, but I have to say it's. So thank you all very much, and be assured of my prayers for you at the altar and in the coming years as well. God bless you all.